Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Sales Manager Academy podcast. As always, I'm your host Omar, and let's talk about leadership do's and don'ts. Today, I want to talk about you as a new leader that's going from, say, a single location to a multi-unit role. We're talking about your area managers, your district managers, your multi-unit locations, okay, where you may not truly be an area or district manager just yet, and really what you need to do in that role. There's a few things that you need to do to really set yourself up for success. The first, if you're ever wondering why they make you do a 30, 60, 90-day action plan, okay? A lot of it is to kind of see where your frame of mind is at, to see what kind of leader you're going to be. Because sometimes you need a leader that's going to be able to come in and turn things around. Other times you need to have a leader that can maintain and grow things from where they're currently at. There's different leadership styles that they're looking for, and you need to know which one you're stepping into. But let's say that you've already gone to that point, you've aced the interviews, you're the person they're going to go with. What do you do once you actually get in that space? What do you do once you actually have that role? Do you do things by, the hip, or do you plan things out? And if you're saying you got to do things and shoot from the hip, you're wrong. You need to be able to plan things out. You have to leave room to be able to make adjustments on the fly. But listen, your lack of planning is not your team's emergency. Just because you failed to make adequate plans doesn't mean that it now falls on the rest of your team to pick up the slack because of your fuck up. And your leadership is going to know that difference. Okay? So those are little things that you have to understand. When they come down on you, you yourself have to take yourself out of their space, because running a single location where you can get away with doing, or saying whatever shit you think might pass, and then going to a multi-unit location where your leadership is going to notice a lot of different things, from performance lacking to, more importantly, the churn of employees. And that's what you want to avoid. You don't want to lose people, especially people who have been there for a while. A lot of times, a lot of disengaged employees just need a reason to be back in the engagement. Okay? They're there. They don't want to quit. They actually like part of them actually likes being with the company. They see something of a future with the organization. But what they've lost is that vision, that spark that they had when they came on board. You, as a leader, need to turn that around and help them bring that back, and then elevate that performance to a different level. And that doesn't happen by you barking orders. That doesn't happen by you making last minute, late night decisions that is going to impact the teams in the morning. All right. You know what I'm talking about. You're making those last minute adjustments, schedule changes, moving people around because you failed to plan adequately. Right. When you make plans, a leader, one of your local leaders comes to you and they say, "Hey, I need coverage on this in this date." And you say, "Yeah, fine, I got you." And then the night before, you're like, "Hey, I need you to do an open and close because I don't have anybody for you." What do you mean you don't have anybody for me? You said it was covered. We had this planned out. You could have told me this a couple of days ago when you knew this was going to happen, right? I know you guys have been in those situations. Either you on the delivering end of that or you on the receiving end of that. And especially if you've been on the receiving end, you know how much of a suck that is. And if you're looking at it and saying, well, it's not so bad, they got to adjust. Guys, there's a reason why in the retail space, your leaders are hourly and your salary. You have to take the suck of it, and it sucks. Okay. I've been in that position where starting off, I've done 60, 80 hours a week because I need to fix things in that district. And that means I'm having to cover shifts. I'm having to spend time over here. I'm having to focus because, hey, the fuck you mean inventory levels are super down, right? Or shrink is way off over here. Like, we got to figure this out. It sucks. Okay. But then once you start getting things truly aligned and you're working with your people and you're getting them to follow you, you're getting them to run through a brick wall for you because your team sees the vision that you have and they say, you know what, this individual wants me to be successful and they're actually allowing me room to grow. Like, why wouldn't I give them a chance to show me what I, as a seller, am capable of doing? Because they believe in me. That's where you want to get to as a leader. Get to the point where your team understands, like, hey, this individual believes in me. This individual wants me to succeed. This individual is giving me room to be able to grow, not only within the organization, but also personally, because those two go hand in hand. When an individual grows professionally, they will also grow personally and they will have a better quality of life. And that's ultimately what they're truly after, somebody who can help guide and mentor them to that level of growth that they haven't had in the past. But as a leader, that means that you need to plan on focus on planning things out. Okay? Listen, plans are never going to go according to how we want them to occur. One of the best quotes I love out there is the plan works until you get punched in the face. And that's going to happen a lot. But when we have something planned out, we can easily make adjustments to that because we plan accordingly to be able to make those adjustments. That's the beautiful thing about having that set out. And you, as a leader, are no longer having to run around, cover multiple shifts. You're no longer having to run around working 60, 80 hours a week. You're able to do what you need to do, get your reports in, take a look at everything that needs to be done, and still be able to pack that within a 40-hour week. As a district or area or multi unit leader, you would be fucking surprised what you can actually accomplish with less time, especially when you're developing your people. Take it from somebody who has taken a location that was told would never have more than 6 employees and that the capacity that they were doing was more than enough, and elevating that from an authorized retail location to corporate level performance with 15 full time employees, 2 full time assistant managers, and a store manager. No part timers whatsoever. Not in a month, right? But over the consistency of a couple of years where they're able to maintain that level of performance. When you learn to step away and let your team actually grow, you would be surprised at the type of performance that they can achieve. You, as a district, area, multi unit leader, your true role is to quarterback the plays that your teams are performing. You're not calling the plays, you're letting them call that play. Because guess what? Who knows the area better? The individuals that have been performing there and working there day in and day out, or the individual that stops in once or twice every other week and only spends, a few hours at that location. Maybe, yes, we can offer outside perspective because we're seeing it with fresh eyes, but we also have to fall back to the knowledge of the teams that are there, to the leadership that's there. And if you don't believe what they have to say, guess who's fucking spending time at the location for a few days? You are. Because you need to see what they're talking about. You need to see what can happen. That's what it means to actually be a leader because you're there supporting your team. You're giving them the resources, more importantly, the support that they need and sometimes have been lacking getting. But that doesn't happen by you shooting from the hip because then you don't know what the fuck is going on and you end up causing more issues. You end up causing a lot more friction where there shouldn't be friction. If you as a leader can see the numbers, and you should be doing this every single fucking morning, right? I don't care if you're in appliances, I don't care if you're in an AV retail space, furniture, whatever the works is. Unless you have 1099 employees, which obviously you guys know that's not a fucking employee, right? For those of you that are dealing with your W-2s, you check the fucking reports in the morning to see where the sales numbers are at, and then you check your fucking hours. When you do that, you're able to make the adjustments appropriately without affecting the business. Because when so and so has, went over hours because they closed the fucking deal, or they were closing a deal and whatever reason the deal went south, right? We've been there. I get it. Shit happens. For some reason they couldn't close. The bank wouldn't approve, the amount that they were trying to finance or purchase with. So it has to come back in their day, or we have to do a partial and they're going to come back. Whatever the case is. I've been there. I've done it all. I understand. So what do? You make those adjustments appropriately. That way it doesn't cut into the labor cost. Those are part of the things of you having to plan what your day looks like. And in all fairness, it's not going to take a very long time to pull up the reporting and see, is anybody trending overtime? There's fucking report tabs for that. Every single HR system out there that we use has a quick way to pull a report to show whether we're going on overtime, who's going overtime, or trending overtime. And you just make the adjustments. And you yourself don't have to make those adjustments, but you have to teach your teams how to do that first. So what do? You reach out to your local leader, like, hey, so and so is training to go over. I'm gonna make the adjustment this time around. Okay. Going forward, I'm just gonna reach out to you and let you know who's going over. I just need you to make those adjustments appropriately. I need them to be in the system. As soon as you put it in, I'll get that notification that a change has happened. It's as simple as that, right? And then that takes that off of your plate as that area leader. You don't have to worry about that little bullshit. You can focus on the other stuff that's more important. And when you're looking at your locations and you see your locations that are performing amazingly, guess who you're not going to mess around with? Guess who you don't have to be reaching out to? You have to learn and discern how to speak and communicate with your different leaders, because you cannot talk to them all the exact same way. You don't talk to a veteran who's been in that role who can do your role the same way as you would somebody who's brand new into the role. You have to know how to be able to speak to them differently to communicate what needs to happen and to get their buy-in. Because when their buy-in doesn't happen, that's when issues arise. And there shouldn't be any friction when you, as a leader, are trying to ensure that everybody is not only performing well, but more importantly, you're telling them that you want them to make the most amount of money, putting in the least amount of work. It is that simple. How do you know who's performing, who's not? We've talked about this before, but guess what? An easy way to do that is check the close rates. Traffic is different at all locations, but if the close rates are up based on traffic, based on calls, whatever your metric that you use to track that, that is how you know who's performing and who's not. But you have to learn how to discern those differences between the locations and the leaders, because it'll make your life super easy, or it's just going to make your life fucking hard. And you're going to be working those 60, 80 hours a week, fucking pissed off, cussing things out because you're working from 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, sometimes earlier, to fucking 7, 8 o'clock at night, because guess who doesn't get their shit or doesn't have their shit together? Those managers working 60, 80 hours a week. And yes, I said managers, not leaders, because a leader is leading their team to success and their teams want to follow that leader. A manager is just barking out orders, not understanding truly what they have in front of them and what they could truly accomplish as a whole when the teams are brought together, when the teams are actually working like a fucking amazing, well oiled machine. Because there's no friction, because communication is smooth, because they understand, hey, this is the one, or these are the ones that are needing more attention. Let me focus on these because these over here, they're grease, they're oiled, they're running smoothly. This doesn't need my attention. I'm not going to spend the same amount of attention at a location that if we're supposed to be closing at 7, 8, 10%, they're closing at 15, 20%. I need to focus on the ones that are closing at, 4 or 5% and figure out how I can get them to that 10 to 15%. I need to be able to put my attention where it matters the most and where the performance needs to go the most. That's what it means to be a leader. You have to plan for that success. It's not just going to happen because you're barking orders. All you're going to do at that point is see a big fucking hole because you had a bunch of employees leave and now you have to train them brand new employees all the way up. And guess what you're stuck doing? Fucking covering shifts, shorthanded, giving yourself a bad reputation, not only with your company, with your employees, with the teams, but more importantly, with the clients and the customers going to those locations. Because now they don't have experienced people there. Now they have to wait longer to be attended. And now those interactions are taking longer and they can tell that something is wrong during the interaction because people are unsure. They're not confident in what they're doing. They don't have anybody who can assist them. They know that. And that's what's going to cause a bigger issue with the reputation at that location, which is going to hurt you even more. So understand what you have in front of you. Make the decision to plan. Remember, your lack of planning is not your team's emergency. If you fucked up, you fucked up. Fix it. Start planning ahead, right? I know you guys have or keep telling your employees, your leaders, you got to have your schedules ahead, a month in advance or whatever the case is, a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever the case. That's the same shit for you as well. Have it planned. Have a plan of action, a focus of what you're going to accomplish, what you're trying to achieve, what needs to get done, and focus on the ones that are going to give you a bigger return by getting their rates of closing to improve. Because if I have a location that's closing at 17%, okay, I could only do so much more to get them to close higher. They're already closing 70% higher than what I was expecting or what the company average or the national average or whatever that thing is, okay? Whatever your average is. If they're closing at double that clip or almost double that clip, there's not much attention needed there. Put it where it matters. So guys, let me know what your thoughts are. As always, don't forget, hit that like and follow button, subscribe, let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.